Hello YouTube, Arrow Assassin here today, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be discussing a balanced druid PvP guide with you guys. You guys have been wanting me to do an updated version from my previous guide video. Let's dive right into the talents. First row, Nature's Balance, Warrior Balloon, and Force of Nature. Nothing has really changed. Force of Nature is still garbage. Would never ever recommend it. Never seen anybody else use it in PvP. And yeah, so I would go with either Nature's Balance or Warrior Balloon. You can't go wrong with either of these, but I see more boomkins go with Nature's Balance, which in my opinion is better than Warrior Balloon because Nature's Balance, you get 50 Astral Power right away. You can pop a Starfall or a Star Surge. I know what you're thinking. Starfall still is not that great, but the reason why I put Starfall in it is because you could screw a Stealther's opener. For example, you see that feral in the distance. I'm sure if you've been around my channel for a while, you guys will notice I drop a random Starfall sometimes, and that's to get Stealthers out of stealth. It's basically a tip, I guess, if you want to call it that. So there's a feral that comes into the door, drop a Starfall, screw his opener, and that's really all there is to it. And yeah, I'll talk about the corruptions later. But yeah, so it's a nice little screw you to Stealthers. And the reason why I picked Nature's Balance. Next row, Tiger's Dash, Renewal, and Wild Charge. Personal preference. Tiger's Dash is... I don't really like Tiger's Dash, but I've seen some people say they prefer it. So if you prefer it, then by all means go for it. Renewal is something I always ran with for almost the entire BFA until a friend recently got me to Wild Charge. And ever since then, I have not really switched to Renewal that much. I sometimes switched back to it for like just for something I do real quick, but for the most part, I love Wild Charge now more. If you want to know what kind of stuff you can pull off with Wild Charge, I will leave a link to a certain video I did recently down below, and you guys should see that one to see what kind of stuff you can do with Wild Charge, because Wild Charge is it's super good. You can pull off some neat tricks and saves and everything with this ability, and I find more use out of Wild Charge than I do with Renewal. But yeah, I'll leave a link down below. If you've been around my channel, you guys know exactly what I did. I'm still shocked to this day. I can't even stop bringing it up because it was mind blowing. But enough about enough about that. Sorry, I can't even talk. That's why I'm so excited, man. Next row, Feral Infinity, Guardian Infinity, Restoration Infinity. I would not recommend Feral Infinity at all. So go with either Guardian Infinity or Restoration Infinity, depending on your playstyle. I have a few friends who run Guardian Infinity, and they do just fine. But for my playstyle, I play with Restoration Infinity, and it works for me. Some things might work better for other people than others. It just depends on what you prefer. Obviously, if you're with like a healer or something, you can run Guardian Infinity without the worry, and yeah, so that's it. Next row, Mighty Bash, Mass Entanglement, Typhoon. Personal preference row. I always run Mass Entanglement because if you got an angry mob chasing you, you can just instantly root them all, and you can get away freely with a combination of Wild Charge makes it even better, which is another reason why I run Wild Charge. The amount of times I've saved myself with Wild Charge plus Mass Entanglement combo, it's just so nice. Typhoon, if you want to knock people off, you can also interrupt cast with it, whatever your preference. You can also, of course, Mass Entanglement root beam somebody, but obviously Typhoon's a little bit shorter cooldown than Solar Beam, but yeah, I find more use out of Mass Entanglement just because you can also, like I said, mass root entire raid groups, or, well, a lot of people if they're stacked up, of course. You can also instantly mass root beam a healer, so you can get a kill target. Say your team decides to ignore the healer, because obviously people love to ignore healers. Let's be realistic here. You can just mass root beam them, and then you can cycle on them after, if you run that talent. And it's just a nice combo. Mighty Bash, I don't really find good use out of it really anymore. I used to run it, but Mass Entanglement is just too good. Next row, Soul of the Force, Star-Lord, Incarnation. Incarnation is good. If you want to run that, feel free to. But I prefer Star-Lord for the haste, because my haste isn't really necessarily the greatest. I'll go over stats later. And I just prefer having the passive haste. And yeah, so. Next row, Stellar Drift, Twin Moons, Stellar Flare. I find the only talent worth using in this row is Twin Moons. Stellar Flare is just so easy to interrupt, and I feel like it's just not that great. It's just, in my opinion, it's just not that great. Some people find a use out of it, but I prefer Twin Moons. Stellar Drift, Starfall is not that great. The only thing worth it would probably be able to cast in it. Even then, I just would not recommend it. Next row, Shooting Stars, Fury of Balloon, New Moon. I ran New Moon for a little bit. I did it for a video just for fun, but that's all I would personally use it for, is just for fun. I would not recommend New Moon really much. It's no longer like it was in Legion. Not really all that impressive. It's not bad, but it's just the other two, in my opinion, are better. Fury of Balloon, I ran this non-stop. Many of you guys know this if you've been around my channel. And then I switched to Shooting Stars. And in Battlegrounds, I'm personally loving this more than the other two. So I would recommend, if you're doing Battlegrounds and stuff, Shooting Stars. If you're doing duels and war mode and stuff, I would probably recommend Fury, because that's what I do. I prefer Fury for like 1v1s and stuff. That's just a personal preference. But yeah, for the most part, in like large team fights, probably stuff like that, I would recommend Shooting Stars, because it's just, in my opinion, the better talent to go. Next up is Honor Talents. So, I'm going to go over the talents that I think are the only ones that are worth it first. And the first three you're seeing right now are the ones that I mainly run. Cyclone, it's pretty much probably always going to be used, simply due to the fact that it's just a good CC. And I was talking about the Mass Entanglement Root Beam earlier, where you can just Mass Entanglement somebody and then Cyclone them after. It's just a good combo. Thorns for melee. If there's no melee, you can switch that out. So this is one of the talents you can switch out if you want to. Mooncrane Aura helps your DPS. That's really all there is to it. So if you want more critical strike and stuff, Mooncrane Aura is there. You don't have to use it. It's also one you can switch out if you want to. Those are three I would recommend using. Cyclone being obviously mandatory. The other ones you can switch out and use. Celestial Guardian, if you combine this with Guardian Affinity, it is extremely powerful. So if you're going to use Celestial Guardian, I would recommend using Guardian Affinity, because those combos are just really good. Fairy Swarm, again, this is kind of like Thorns though, so if there's no melee, it's not worth it. And Iron Feather Armor. And those are the only ones I would really recommend. I don't really care for Perkling Thorns, Protector of the Pack. Deep Roots is good, but the other ones just outshine it, because you can only use 3 Honor Talents. And Dying Stars, again, is not bad, but again, you can only use 3 Honor Talents, and there's just ones that outshine it. Moon Stars, would not recommend. Crescent Burn, not bad, but 3 Honor Talents again. So, the main 3, like I said, I would stick with is what you're seeing right now: Cyclone, Thorns, and Mooncrane Aura. If there's no melee, you can switch out Thorns for, like, I don't know, Iron Feather Armor if you want to, or Celestial Guardian, stuff like that. So it just depends on what you want to do. Okay, and I think that covers up the Honor Talents. What you're seeing right now is pretty much the main build I stick with, and it is my most favorite build. And it's the one I would recommend for sure. Alright guys, let's go over essences next, and in my opinion this is the best one I've messed around with. It's made me enjoy my balanced druid a lot more, and I would highly recommend if you guys have not tried it before. Essences are major, Breath of the Undying. What this does is it's basically an execute, and if you use it on above somebody with 80% or 20%, depending on what rank you have, it lowers the cooldown. Or if you kill them at rank, if you have rank 3, it basically increases the 100% damage on the next one and lowers it to 5-second cooldown. And that's what makes this so fun. You can get so much damage, so much kills, and basically what I've done with it off camera is I would just nuke a target, or just, if somebody's low, I would just pretty much pop my Reaping Flames, get the kill, and then I have my 100% Reaping Flames. And for example, I would get a Berserker real quick, and it lasts for like 30 seconds. So if somebody's near a Berserker or something, or you can grab the Berserker first, then Reaping Flame somebody, and then you'll have that Berserker plus Reaping Flames. And I would pop all cooldowns, pick somebody who's at 100%, and then just straight up pop like 2 or 3 Star Surges on them real quick into Reaping Flames, and they'll either be dead or pretty close to it. And it's just, it's so powerful. But you have to, like I said, do like everything perfectly. Once you master it, it becomes so powerful. So powerful. It's taken me a little bit of time to get used to it. But like I said, this essence is so good, as you've noticed me rambling about it for quite some time. Next essence is Memory of the Lucid Dreams and Crucible Flame. Basically, what Memory of Lucid Dreams is just also gives you astral power and versatility, and Flame gives you a time over damage. Conflict of Strife for the fourth one. You can switch this out for either Essence of Focusing Iris if you want, or Condensed Life Force, Vision of Perfection. Blood of the Enemy might not be a bad idea either, but I find no use out of it since I have, of course, Moonkin Aura. But, yeah, so those are the only ones I would really recommend. You can also run a bunch of different combos you want, but I found no other enjoyment out of the other ones other than this combo right here. I've run a bunch of combos before if you want to see what essences I used to run. A wide spread of different ones. You can run Conflict of Strife if you're major, for example, for Thorns, and you can use like a Disarm with it to screw for melee even more. That's one option. That's called my anti-melee build. You could also run Essence of the Focusing Iris for more damage, same for Crucible Flame. Blood of the Enemy, I've tested this out as well, and if you pop all cooldowns with Blood of the Enemy, you can straight up just destroy somebody. But that's just like every 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I just find no... as fun as it is to just straight up nuke somebody like that, I'd rather have just like my Reaping Flames. So, anyways, guys, this is the reason why I run this build, is because you can just get so much damage and you can get so many kills with this essence. It's just, you can nuke everything. It's just, why would I want to wait for a burst of Blood of the Enemy burst when I could just straight up nuke people with Breath of the Undying? And I feel like Breath of the Undying has also switched out Flame damage-wise. It's that powerful. So, but that's just it for the essences, guys. If you have any more comments on essences, you can let me know in the comment section down below. Like I said, Boomkin has a ton of different essences you can run. You can run, for example, Remember Lucid Dreams. I used to run that. But like I said, this is the only one I would recommend. It's just so good. But enough rambling about that. Let's move on to stats. My stats are, I stack Mastery and Versatility. I play a bunch of different specs, so I prefer the big damage with those specs, including Balanced Druid, which is what I main. Mastery increases your damage. Versatility is a damage increase stacking. After that, I went Haste, and then Crits last because I have Moonkin Aura. If you don't like what my stats are, because some people love, obviously, Haste more, you can go Haste instead of Versatility. That's just a personal preference for me. This works for me, so I went with Mastery Versatility. Plus, because I run Star Lord and I have the Humming Black Dragon Scale, I'm not really worried about my Haste personally, so that's the reason why my Haste is a little bit lower. PvE-wise, of course, I switch out different stats and stuff, but for the most part, that's pretty much what my stats are. So, for anybody wondering again, I went Mastery, Versatility, Haste, and Crits. But you can go Mastery, Haste, and Versatility, Crit if you want. But that's just, like I said, personal choice. Now, let's go over Corruption. This is the new thing that's been coming out this patch. And, well, I personally can't speak for all the Corruption because I haven't gotten lucky to test them all, which is the reason why I've kind of put this guide off for so long, and I'm pretty sure I'll never get all the Corruptions. There's just no realistic way. I will just show you guys what my favorite ones is. What my favorite one is. My favorite one is the Mastery Corruption. I had this before on my lower 400 weapon, and then I got like the 660 weapon, and I lost my Mastery Corruption. I couldn't play without it. Just the Mastery increase gives you bigger Star Surges, and bigger Star Surges equal, you really want to see those big Star Surges. So this procs a lot. It's worth the Corruption. Would recommend this 100% over anything else if you can. It's just that good. It's fun, and if you can get this Corruption, it's really strong. Next up is the taking increased damage gives you versatility, or taking damage, sorry, has a chance to give you versatility. Obviously you're going to be getting hit in PvP a lot. That's just a guaranteed, obviously. So I've found this to be very good because versatility, you take reduced damage, you do more damage, so I've gotten even more Star Surges when this procs. It has a decent proc rate. I don't feel like it has as much proc rate as the Mastery one, but it's still pretty good. Other than that, those two are ones I have gotten lucky to get. I did get a increased damage and healing with critical strikes, so if you have that one, it's not bad. But those are the only three I currently have right now. Don't have infinite stars. Void was nerfed, and I don't use that anymore. But not that it was really that great as ranged. I feel like, anyways, infinite stars I haven't tested. Can't speak for it. I've had people use it on me, and it's hit hard, so I assume if you have that one, use it. But those are my recommendations for corruption. So just as a refresher, mastery, mastery corruption, versatility corruption, and then if you have this one, it's not bad either, but compared to the other two, increased damage and critical strike. Now let's talk about races. If you're balanced, basically go either Troll or High Mountain or regular Tauren. Zandalari is not that great, but I would recommend to anybody play the race you want. That's all that matters. That's really all that matters. But if you really care about the abilities that that people get, go either Tauren, High Mountain Tauren, or Troll. I'd actually probably honestly pick either Tauren or Troll first, but I love High Mountain simply due to the fact that all their abilities, to be honest, are good. Bull Rush is fun. They have versatility, and they take a little bit of reduced damage, but it's nothing like major. Obviously, Troll get a Bloodlust Haste ability, if you want to call it that, which lines up with your cooldown, so that's good. But and Tauren get War Stomp, which you can use into a Cyclone. For example, you pop a War Stomp right here, and then you just pop a Cyclone immediately while they're stunned, and then they get you get a free CC off. They also have Brawn, which increases even more damage and healing if you have the corruption, like I told you before. And then they have extra health. So I guess if you play other specs, I would go Tauren, because Troll might not be as good if you play Feral or Guardian. So maybe go Tauren if you play other specs. So and last but not least, I think the last thing we need to cover is rotation. So rotation, you basically just get your dots on up everybody as much as you can. Pop your dots, that's all that matters. You got full astral power and all that stuff. You just get your Star Surge, and you just pop your cooldowns and you Star Surge stuff. Another thing you wanted to do is what I mentioned at the start of the video. If you got a target kill with Reaping Flames, for example, say this training dummy was low, and you get Reaping Flames and you kill him with it. You have 30 seconds to use your next Reaping Flames, and you have a Berserker up, and you have your cooldowns up. So you have the Berserker, you got your 30-second Reaping Flames here, you pop your burst cooldowns, and then you do your 2 Star Surges into your Reaping Flames, and then if he's not dead, quickly get some Astral Power to get your last final Star Surge off. I guarantee you, most targets will be down within that time frame. Obviously, depending on the gear of the person, they might somehow survive, but for the most part, I've pretty much duked every class, minus a few different specs, but with that combo. Just the Reaping Flames into Burst combo. It's just so deadly, and I would recommend doing that. Some final tips, I guess, for you guys is, like I said, with Wild Charge, you can do some crazy stuff. I will allow, I'm not allowing, I will demonstrate for you guys. For example, say I'm being DPS right here, I'm being chased, I gotta quickly go to this cliff, and then I'll just go ahead and disengage into a flap right here and slowly fall down over there. So, but you guys kind of get my point. That's just one tip. So, like I said, you're being chased, you quickly lead them to the cliff, and you just go ahead and pop your disengage and just flap away all the way down. And you'll pretty much avoid any stuff like that. For anybody wondering how you get the flap ability, you go to the Dreamway where the Legion class hall was, and there should be a vendor, I believe, that sells it. So that's where you get it. Another tip you can do is, I would say to do is get some swiftness potions. These things are lifesavers. I use them a lot. So if you can, buy some swiftness potions. I'm pretty sure everybody has them. PvP things PvP boxes have them all the time. Engineering is your friend. Goblin gliders. I also have a shield, which gives me protective barrier. It absorbs 56 damage, which is not really too much, I guess, now anymore. But it's also, like I said, it's a lifesaver. It's 10-minute cooldown, but I've been saved by it countless times. Yes, I know people use nitro, but I found nitro betrays me way too much, and yeah, I don't want to deal with that anymore. And I think that covers up for tips, to be honest. If you guys have any more questions, let me know. If I rambled on too much, I apologize. I just want to make this as clear as I can. Hopefully, I did good. And this is what you guys want to see. Let me know what you comment. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll catch you guys later.